you got trained by Al Snow in the 90s.
Yeah,
What was he like to be around? And tell me about the training process for you and how you got started.
just I mean, what you see with Al is what you get if you ever watched Tough Enough.
Mhm.
When I started with him, he had was just starting to Al was starting to gain momentum. He was having this really good feud with Sabu in the Michigan area, and when I got to him, it was like a year before he started, going to Smoky Mountain WWF. Well, he was doing jobs on WWF TV, but I mean, he was as brutally honest, but yet kind as a trainer. Because when I got in the ring with him and I start, doing things and taking bumps for the first time, and you get frustrated because you want to learn and you kind of want things to happen naturally. And some things I picked up better than others, but the things I didn't pick up on right away, I would get frustrated, and he would just pull me aside and just talk to me like a human being and be like, all right, I get it. You're frustrated, but you just got to keep doing it and you got to get it right before you move on to the next thing. And that's the thing. He wouldn't let me move on to the next thing until I perfected the one thing. And, you watch, I've seen, people train and it's just like other schools, they'll take your money and not show you something. If you don't if you get it good enough, they'll let you move on. And then you're stuck with those, bad habits and bad mistakes. And thank God for Al, thankfully Al wouldn't let me move on until, I learned it and learned it right and moved on. But I lived in his school for a year. Uh, his school was on the sixth and seventh floor of a old Masonic temple, and there's living quarters. And I moved out from the East Coast, so I was like, it's not like I'm going to commute back and forth. So I lived in the school, and he had morning sessions, and then he had evening sessions because people would come down from Michigan, Canada, Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania. But, I was the main one. I would work out. I would do the 9 a.m. to noon session, and then I would do the 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. session. So I was doing the equivalent of two-a-days, like they say in football.
Yeah, I've had Al on the show before, and he talked about just how you have to want it,
Yeah.
to be a professional wrestler. And he's very passionate about his craft and what he's done. And I think the work he's doing right now in OVW is just outstanding. He truly cares about his students and wants them to succeed.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just really cool.
The important thing too is, knowing that he was training me. Um, you're ultimately an extension of the people who train you. So when I go out into the public, if I do something good, that reflects on Al. If I do something bad, that reflects on Al too. So I've always been conscious of always trying to do the right thing. Even if I make a mistake, just make the mistake and, acknowledge the mistake and then move on. Where some people are like, oh, I didn't do that. That was that guy. It was his fault, not my fault. So like my ultimate goal was to not only go out there and represent Al as one of his students and, him being my trainer, but do it in a way where people go, oh, wow, Al really does well, has some really good students and he trains them right because ultimately I represent Al 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.